It has been a no-holds-barred battle between the Modi government and the opposition today in the Lok Sabha, in particular between Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah on one side and the Gandhi family duo of Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra on the other. Over the next 45 minutes, we will decode the big speeches that were made in Parliament between these two major players, who scored, who did not in that big debate. That's going to be our top focus at the moment. But first, let's look at what they said. Before that, I want to introduce the guests who will take me slowly but surely through each and every one of these sound bites. With me in the studio is Raj Chengappa, our editorial director at India Today. He's seen many a parliament debate. Welcome, Raj. Ashok Malik, partner the Asia Group, senior journalist who's tracked Prime Minister Modi in particular for years. And Ashutosh, columnist, author and political analyst who's also has a very close eye on all that happens in the political world. But first, as I said, we're going to decode one by one all the major strands of this big battle between Modi, Shah and the Gandhi family. The first big question was Donald Trump's truce claim. Has it been finally settled? Time and again, Donald Trump has raised the issue that he was the one who initiated a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. Let's listen in to what Prime Minister Modi and the LOP Rahul Gandhi had to say on the T factor, not terror, but Trump.
दुनिया के किसी भी नेता ने भारत के ऑपरेशन रोकने के लिए नहीं कहा। उसी दौरान 9 तारीख को रात को अमेरिका के उपराष्ट्रपति जी ने मुझसे बात करने का प्रयास किया। वो घंटे भर कोशिश कर रहे थे, लेकिन मेरी सेना के साथ मीटिंग चल रही थी, तो मैंने उनका फोन उठा नहीं पाया। बाद में मैंने उनको कॉल बैक किया। मैंने कहा कि आपका फोन था, 3-4 बार आपका फोन आ गया, क्या है? तो अमेरिका के उपराष्ट्रपति जी ने मुझे फोन पे बताया कि पाकिस्तान बहुत बड़ा हमला करने वाला है। ये उन्होंने मुझे बताया। मेरा जो जवाब था, जिनको समझ नहीं आता है उनको तो नहीं आएगा। मेरा जवाब था, अगर पाकिस्तान का ये इरादा है तो उसे बहुत महंगा पड़ेगा। ये मैंने अमेरिका के उपराष्ट्रपति को कहा। अगर पाकिस्तान हमला करेगा तो हम बड़ा हमला कर करके जवाब देंगे। ये मेरा जवाब था। और आगे मेरा एक वाक्य था, मैंने कहा था, हम गोली का जवाब गोले से देंगे। ये 9 तारीख रात की बात है, और 9 रात में और 10 सुबह हमने पाकिस्तान को सैन्य शक्ति को तहस नहस कर दिया था। और यही हमारा जवाब था, यही हमारा जज्बा था। और आज पाकिस्तान भी भली भांति जान गया है कि भारत का हर जवाब पहले से ज्यादा तगड़ा होता है।
Donald Trump has said 29 times he said, 29 बार उन्होंने बोला कि भैया मैंने सीज फायर करवाया है। अच्छा, अगर वो झूठ बोल रहे हैं तो अपने भाषण में यहां प्रधानमंत्री कह दें कि वो झूठ बोल रहे हैं। यहां पे अगर दम है तो यहां पे प्रधानमंत्री बोल दे कि ट्रंप झूठ बोल रहे हैं। If he has the courage, if he has the courage, if he has the courage of Indira Gandhi, let him say here, let him say here that Donald Trump, you're a liar. That you did not make a ceasefire and that we did not lose any planes. Let him say it here, if he has the courage.
The Trump factor, as I call it, has it been settled? Raj Chengappa, hearing both sides, do you get a sense that has the Prime Minister been conclusively able to settle the issue that Donald Trump was not the one who initiated and ensured a ceasefire between India and Pakistan?
Rajdeep, I thought he was being careful because India is engaged in a major possible trade deal with the US and would like to keep its good relations with the US, and rather than go directly and call President Trump a liar, as Rahul Gandhi wanted him to. So he kind of said that no leader, has made any effort, or no leader actually wanted him to stop the war, or he didn't listen to any of them. And he pointed to once. But I think here, if you look at the facts, one is that Trump has repeated this, as Rahul Gandhi said, 25 times. And secondly, there is a conversation which I think that the opposition didn't really take into press home, which was the fact that Marco Rubio, after Trump had tweeted on May 10th that the ceasefire would be there, came out with a statement saying that he had spoken to Jaishankar, the foreign minister, as well as the Pakistan counterparts, and said that the two sides had agreed to meet at a neutral place and discuss all issues. Now, one of the things that we must keep in mind is Marco Rubio is one of Trump's most trusted cabinet ministers. He's also the national security advisor. And J.D. Vance is also the vice president, again, very trusted. So Trump did have a role to play because there were conversations going on. We've heard what Prime Minister Modi said about what Vance had said, but Rubio was the critical point in terms of the May 10th conversations. That's the night, early that morning, India bombs many air bases across, I think 8 or 9 of them in Pakistan. And there's a flurry of conversations that happens over there. And that's what is really the point, is that Marco Rubio would not have made that statement unless there was some conversation to that effect with both the countries. And that has not yet been sorted out, as is the fact that Trump will say that, look, my representatives dealt directly with India, and therefore they were taking my orders, and that means that I was involved.
You know, Ashok Malik, taking up from what Raj Chengappa just said, the Prime Minister made it clear that he had no conversation with Donald Trump. He, however, admitted to having a conversation with Mr. Vance. And as Raj has pointed out, Marco Rubio has gone on record to say that he spoke to the external affairs ministers of the two countries. Would it be therefore fair to say that America played a crucial behind-the-scenes role in dousing the fires between India and Pakistan? Would that be a far more honest statement to make? And perhaps rather than call someone a liar or get into that kind of language, just say that yes, America played a crucial role in bringing the two sides to a ceasefire?
Look, Rajdeep, as far as I know, three countries were closely involved in carrying messages between New Delhi and Islamabad, primarily from New Delhi to Islamabad. These were the US, the Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. And I imagine the governments of foreign ministers of all three countries were speaking to both sides. That is my understanding. And to all of them, India's word was very consistent. We will fire the last bullet, as it were. So if Pakistan attacks, as it did in Pahalgam through the terrorists, we will hit back. If there's a counter-strike by Pakistan, there will be a further counter-strike by us, which is what the Prime Minister also said in Parliament, that we will goli ka jawab gola se, or we will fire the last bullet. But we do not want this to escalate. So if you stop escalating, we will stop escalating. This was something which was consistently said diplomatically and conveyed diplomatically to almost any country that spoke to Minister Jaishankar or the Indian government or the Indian Foreign Secretary for that matter in that period. And I understand these three countries, the US, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, passed on that message to the Pakistanis and got back to the Indians. So that is a fair assessment of what happened,
So
rather than
why should the Prime Minister then not exactly say what you said? Yes, there were other countries who helped out in bringing the two sides together. Would that be seen as a sign of weakness to even admit that?
I don't think they helped out. They simply carried India's message. They said, look, the Indians are telling us if you don't escalate, they will not escalate. Their purpose was to attack the terror camps. They've done that. And that is frankly something which we were, as Indians, the Indian government was saying to every diplomatic interlocutor. Even the Pakistanis were told that. So they knew that.
Okay. Yes.
Point in the sense that, let's be clear, the US was the main interlocutor in this particular case. Saudi would have played some role, UAE would have, but it is the US that matters the most. And this is, of course, very true of the track record. If you look at 2019, the US certainly played a role in calming temperatures as it were, began to escalate beyond or get out of control. And remember, I think the Prime Minister mentioned Abhinandan. A lot of the pressure that was built to return Abhinandan back was built, I think, if I recall, with a lot of conversations that the US had. You go back a little further and you look at 2000, I mean, go
we
right
can
back.
go to 1999 Kargil, and the
Kargil,
role that
you remember
Bill
that-
Clinton played.
And the role that Clinton played, and in fact, when I interviewed Nawaz Sharif, he told me the first thing Clinton told him just before the settlement, I'd interviewed Nawaz Sharif in Jeddah, of course, much later, and he said the first thing Clinton asked him is, Nawaz Sharif, are you taking the subcontinent to a nuclear war? And that was a concern that continues, of course, now. And 2008, again, after the Mumbai attacks, the US did play a role in calming down things so that India would not attack Pakistan and gave certain assurances that was there. So I will not be surprised if a lot of the conversation that happened here were on similar lines in terms
So
of
what
saying,
stops the Prime Minister from saying that? Is it that it would be seen as a sign of weakness, Raj?
again, these are things that happen a lot behind the scenes. How much of that pressure came on? What were the kind of... It wouldn't be like stop the war. It would be, I think, in many senses, a dialogue that will happen. Will say, look, if you proceed with this, your objectives was to demonstrate that you will cut the head of the snake when it comes to terror, camps and terror hideouts and everything else. Okay. Your objective is not war. And so, therefore, if you proceed down that line, Pakistan, you've already proved your point. And to Pakistan, they would say, look, where do you want to go on this? If you start escalating and sending your missiles across after India sent BrahMos, then it's going to be an all-out war. Is that what you want? And I think that's the kind of conversation that happens behind the scenes. It's not like each side loses thing. I mean, these are very tense scenes that are happening.
Point well taken. Given what you've just said, Ashutosh, therefore, for Rahul Gandhi in turn to say, prove that, tell us in Parliament, is Donald Trump lying? I mean, which Prime Minister is going to sit in our Parliament and call Donald Trump a liar? I mean, let's be clear. If Rahul Gandhi was also the Prime Minister of the country, is he going to come in Parliament and call Donald Trump a liar? Is that what the Congress wants, to damage Indo-US relations at a time when sensitive trade talks are on?
Rajdeep, you know, and I also know, those who are watching Trump and the Modi both, that anybody who can say anything to the Trump and still can do a business with the Trump. Look what the Chinese had done. And finally, the Americans had come down to a different kind of equation altogether. So the Trump has to be dealt with a different language altogether. I think that the language of the diplomacy world over has changed. The kind of language that Trump is speaking, not only with India, but all the countries, it's not a diplomatic language. It's a language.
Does Rahul Gandhi seriously believe that an Indian Prime Minister can call the US President a liar in Parliament?
Rajdeep, this has to be understood from a different perspective altogether, because he has got under the skin of the Narendra Modi. And he has caught Narendra Modi because he wants to project himself as a macho, masculine Hindutva icon. Like somebody like this, if he's projecting himself that he's the biggest icon of the nationalism in the country, nobody can touch him, nobody can say a word to him, then here is a president 28 times he's insulting India. You don't forget, when Mr. Narendra Modi was in Washington, even at that point of time, the illegally
How is he
Indians living in
insulting
America.
India? How, no,
let me-
Ashutosh,
let-
how is
let
he
me-
insulting India
let me
by saying that he...
Rajdeep, let me complete. It is Indians who were shackled when the Prime Minister was there in Washington. Is it not an insult to India? Mr. Donald Trump is openly talking about that India is a tariff king, saying all kinds of things. And the Prime Minister projects himself that he's the machoest man ever produced by Indians. Now, the Rahul Gandhi is asking a question to that Prime Minister who takes a great pride in being a macho Hindu icon. Now, if you project an image like that, then the questions will be asked, because then you will be compared with the Iranian Ayatollah Khamenei, who being attacked by the Israeli and Americans, he's giving back to the Trump in the same coin. Why the Prime Minister cannot say even once, Mr. Trump, you are lying, you are misleading to not only to Americans, but also to the whole global audience.
Okay. Raj, you want a quick response and then
Yes.
we'll move on to the next
No,
question.
let's also give credit to the fact that Prime Minister Modi had moved considerably from strategic restraint that Dr. Manmohan Singh had exercised while he was dealing with Pakistan to punitive deterrence. And Pahalgam took that quantum of punishment to a much, much higher level, also demonstrated that India is willing to take on, when two nuclear powers clash, there is a kind of a limit that you need to reach, and he was pushing the edge of that envelope. And therefore, his actions in many senses speaks louder than what Donald Trump is saying. He did go ahead and hit Pakistan hard, and clearly they suffered damage. We might have had some setbacks, but the fact is that we proved a point when it came to
But that didn't stop, Raj,
terror.
with due regard, that didn't stop Donald Trump from entertaining Field Marshal Asim Munir for lunch, for Rubio from having meetings with the Pakistani foreign minister, for them to claim that Pakistan is a key ally. So that deterrence question we'll come back to.
I agree. Yes, we should come back to it, because that is something that needs to be debated. This is, apart from the parliament debate, we need to look ahead a bit and see some of these major things and what are the lessons we might have to learn from that.
Okay, let's come though to what was the core in a way of the debate that took place today. Far from it becoming only about Sindhu, it became familiar. Modi government versus Congress opposition. The Prime Minister's attack on the Congress, were they hit or miss? Listen in.
देश देख रहा है भारत आत्मनिर्भर बनता जा रहा है, लेकिन देश ये भी देख रहा है कि एक तरफ तो भारत आत्मनिर्भरता की ओर तेज गति से आगे बढ़ रहा है, लेकिन कांग्रेस मुद्दों के लिए पाकिस्तान पर निर्भर होती जा रही है। दुर्भाग्य से कांग्रेस और उसके सहयोगी पाकिस्तान के ऐसे ही प्रपंच के प्रवक्ता बन चुके हैं। जब डोकलाम में सैन्य हमारा शौर्य दिखा रहा था, तब कांग्रेस के नेता चुपके चुपके किससे ब्रीफिंग लेते थे वो सारी दुनिया अब जान गई। आप निकाल दीजिए पाकिस्तान के सारे बयान और यहां हमारा विरोध करने वाले लोगों के बयान, फुल स्टॉप कॉमा के साथ एक है। क्या कहेंगे इसको? और बुरा लगता है सच बोलते हैं तो। पाकिस्तान के साथ सुर में सुर मिला दिया जाता है। उनकी ये हिम्मत, और इनकी आदत जाती नहीं है, ये हिम्मत कि पहलगाम के आतंकी पाकिस्तानी थे, इसका सबूत दो। क्या कह रहे हो तुम लोग? ये कौन सा तरीका है?
That the government of India thought they were fighting Pakistan. And when they arrived, they suddenly realized that they were not fighting Pakistan, they were fighting China and Pakistan. Yes. Meaning that the Pakistani army was attached. Pakistani Air Force was attached to the Chinese Air Force. If you don't believe me, General Rahul Singh, during a FICCI event, May 11th, when the DGMO level talks were going on, Pakistan actually was mentioning, we know that you such and such important vector is primed and ready for action. I would request you to perhaps pull it back. And he says, so it is very clear they were getting live battlefield inputs from China. Because as I speak, and since 2021, Pakistani officers, strategic officers have been embedded in the PLA's Western and Northern Theatre Commands.
That attack, Ashok Malik, on suggesting that the Congress was voicing Pakistan's viewpoint has been made before, branding Rahul Gandhi and the Congress as anti-national. Does it still work according to you, Ashok Malik?
You know, obviously in a parliamentary debate of this nature, both sides come up with very exaggerated positions. The BJP did, the Congress also did. I think there is a broader issue which we need to discuss about our Pakistan policy and where it stands, what we can hope to achieve, what we can't hope to achieve. Certainly, there was success before Operation Sindhu because no country held us back from attacking Pakistan, targeting terror camps in Pakistan. It was expected we would do that. It was expected we would respond maturely, and the Modi government would respond in a measured fashion under the nuclear umbrella. So unlike 2008 or 2001 or 2016, no country said, don't do it. People expected us to do it. They were confident the Modi government could do it, and the Modi government did do it. After that, obviously, since two nuclear powers are involved, other countries had a legitimate interest in seeing that the conflict remained contained. And they asked questions, which was natural. So I don't think either of those is really a surprise. As to why other countries have not come out in full-throated support of India after Operation Sindhu, you know, quite honestly, this is an India-Pakistan terrorism issue, which bothers a lot of countries, but they also have other concerns to think about in a world which is full of challenges. So in a sense, this is our battle to fight. The world will not fight it for us beyond a certain point. This is our battle to fight. The fact that China is supportive of Pakistan is also well. We will have to tackle it.
Okay. Given what you heard there, Ashutosh, your view, Prime Minister Modi time and again hit at the Congress saying you are effectively a mouthpiece for Pakistan, branding all the questions that Rahul Gandhi was asking, whether it was on jets downed or questions about our military being tied up, according to Rahul Gandhi. Prime Minister said you are acting as an anti-national, and this has been the Congress's history. Do you think that hit the Congress where it hurts?
See, Rajdeep, for me, the Rahul Gandhi today was a revelation because I heard a very good speech after a very, very long time in the parliament. And it has become a rarity because these days you don't listen good speech in the parliament itself. So let's give it to the Rahul Gandhi. The fact of the matter, the Prime Minister today, I found him very, very tired. He was, I found him somewhere down the line, he was little depressing. He was little desperate. He wanted to give back to Rahul Gandhi the way he was hit by Rahul Gandhi's speech. But somewhere down the line, he repeated the same story. It's a Nehru story. You go back to Nehru, you abuse Nehru, criticize Nehru, and then you blame the Nehru-Gandhi family for everything. I think it's not working. It's not working at all. And that shows the Rahul Gandhi somewhere down the line had gone under his skin.
No, but
and
after one minute. After Balakot, Pulwama and Balakot in particular, in the election that happened then, when the Prime Minister said, "Ghar mein ghus kar mara," branded the Congress virtually as someone who wasn't in line with the national sentiment, it succeeded. Are you saying it isn't succeeding now?
I don't think it is succeeding. See, the Balakot happened 5 years back, and it happened in the month of February when the elections were around the corner. So anybody would have raised the emotional pitch at that point of time would have certainly got benefited. Otherwise, before that elections, before that Balakot, people were saying that the BJP will find it difficult to get the 272 seats. But today what I am trying to tell you is that I was really surprised that Prime Minister did not speak a word about China. And Rahul Gandhi, let's give him to Rahul Gandhi a few months back in this parliament itself. He's talked about it, that the biggest challenge to the Indian diplomacy is that to separate Pakistan and the China both. And today what is happening is, what is surprising me is that we are allowing Chinese to get their visa in when the Chinese are trying to dislocate our economy. He's withdrawing their engineers. He's trying to restrict the export of rare earth magnet. He's trying to restrict the export of the specialized fertilizers. When the Chinese are doing something like this, and here, those people used to say that the elephant...
Let me hold on, because Raj Chengappa, while the Prime Minister attacked Rahul Gandhi on the Pakistan question, I've just heard Rahul Gandhi's comment outside Parliament after the Prime Minister's speech saying he didn't mention the C word China even once. Do you believe that China remains the real elephant in the room, which neither side, or certainly not the government of the day, is willing to openly confront?
Well, the interpretation I get, I mean, I'm reading between the lines, is that the reason why the government didn't press the China case, although it knows pretty well that they had backed Pakistan during the Operation Sindhu and the war that happened, is that they are in a process of rapprochement in some senses with China, and therefore they wouldn't like that part of the relations to get somewhat, again, into muddy waters. It has been in the past 4 or 5 years. And I think the reason also is what Rahul Gandhi had hinted, where he said, look, I said you have to sort of keep China and Pakistan separate. If you get them together, you'll really have issues. So in some senses, the government is doing precisely that. They would like to start at least having some contact with China, and therefore, not just in the kind of thing we saw post what happened to in Galwan and other places. So I think that delicate situation is there, and therefore they restrain themselves. But if you notice, Rajdeep, they did not restrain themselves when it came to Pakistan, particularly Prime Minister Modi, when he talked of the Indus River and kind of blamed the Congress for doing whatever it didn't do. I mean, there were chapters. The fact is that for 10 years, the Indus wasn't mentioned except in passing when Mr. Modi was there. And of course, let's not forget, Mr. Vajpayee was there for 7 years, and the then NDA government didn't raise those issues. So the Indus issue is a very, very touchy issue. And I think the stance is much, much more hardened. If you also look, and that's, I think, something that might spook a lot of investors, the continuation that Operation Sindhu is just paused, it will continue. The fact that, which I think Rahul Gandhi did mention, of the fact that, every terror act will be seen as an act of war, leaves a lot of uncertainty, which was a point that Rahul Gandhi had made. And that terror and talks will not mix, blood and water will not mix. This means, I mean, the interpretation is that our stance with Pakistan is considerably hardened. We are not going to see any sort of thaw in this, and that is, leaves this position very, very tenuous. It means that Operation Sindhu really didn't sort out the differences between the countries, and they are poised, if we don't watch out, for another attack. So that is a downer in terms of, I mean, I'm not advocating that we should have good relations with Pakistan at this point, but I'm saying we need to watch that aspect of it, because it does concern the world if two nuclear powers get back and battle it out once more as they did just a couple of months ago.
Let's turn to the next question. Pahalgam accountability fixed or not? Interestingly, that was a question not raised so much by Rahul Gandhi, but by his sister Priyanka Gandhi, responded to by Amit Shah. Take a look. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra versus Amit Shah on Pahalgam accountability.
ये पूछ रहे थे कि क्यों भाग गए। अब मेरा समय काफी जाएगा, मैं जरा संक्षिप्त में कहता हूं, घटनाओं पर नहीं जाऊं। दाऊद इब्राहिम कासकर 1986 में भागा श्री राजीव गांधी की सरकार। सैयद सलाउद्दीन 93 में भागा कांग्रेस की सरकार। टाइगर मेमन 93 में भागा, कांग्रेस की सरकार। अनीस इब्राहिम कासकर 93 में भागा, इनकी सरकार। रियाज भटकल 2007 में भागा, इनकी सरकार। इकबाल भटकर 2010 में भागा, इनकी सरकार। मिर्जा सादाब बेग 2009 में भागा, इनकी सरकार थी। अब मान्यवर मेरा तो जवाब मांग लिया, हमारे सुरक्षा बलों ने मेरा जवाब भी दे दिया, अब राहुल गांधी इसका जवाब दे।
कल सत्ता पक्ष और आज भी सत्ता पक्ष के नेताओं ने 2008 के मुंबई के हमलों का जिक्र किया, बार बार कहा कि मनमोहन सिंह जी की सरकार ने कुछ नहीं किया। ये तो जानकारी होगी ना कि उसी समय जब वो आतंकवादी हमला चल रहा था तभी उन आतंकवादियों को मार डाला था, एक बचा था और उसको भी फांसी दे दी थी 2012 में। महाराष्ट्र के मुख्यमंत्री ने इस्तीफा दिया। राजनाथ जी तो पुलवामा, उरी और पठानकोट के समय गृह मंत्री रहे थे। आज वे रक्षा मंत्री हैं और हमारे गृह मंत्री महोदय श्री अमित शाह जी के नाक के नीचे पूरा मणिपुर जल गया, दिल्ली में दंगे हुए, पहलगाम में हमला हुआ और आज भी वे उसी पद पर बैठे हैं। क्यों?
Accountability for Pahalgam. Ashok Malik, it appears that Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, she struck, of course, an emotional chord. I'll come back to that in a moment. But the fact is, demanding accountability. This is a theme the opposition has had through this debate, that the government is avoiding taking any accountability or responsibility for the Pahalgam major security lapse. If you ask for it during 26/11 and ministers resigned, Home Minister, Chief Minister, why has no one resigned now? Your response?
Look, to be honest with you, I am not a great advocate. I wasn't under no government of people just resigning after an event of this nature. People are expected to take charge and respond, not just resign. You know, if everyone resigns, no country will have any government left, because tragedies do happen, missteps do happen, errors do happen across the world. Now, if you look at the situation in Jammu and Kashmir since 2019, since the abolition of revocation of Article 370, there has certainly been an improvement in security, an improvement in the economy of the state, an improvement in development. Amit Shah, Narendra Modi, the BJP government get credit for that. Equally, if there have been lapses of judgment at Pahalgam, which they clearly were, they will have to bear the political price for that. There is no question. Both are equally important, both are valid. So if you want to criticize the Home Minister for Pahalgam, of course, go ahead and do it, but equally give him credit for what has been achieved over the past 6 years. And there have been achievements.
Okay, point taken. Ashutosh, your response? The direct attack Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and many opposition leaders made was on Amit Shah, calling for the resignation of the Home Minister. Do you believe that's a valid demand to make, or was it typical political rhetoric in Parliament?
See, Rajdeep, I want to remind you, much before this Operation Pahalgam and the Uri and the other things happened, the Rajnath Singh had categorically said, "Hamari sarkar mein istife nahi hote." It's a very arrogant statement coming from the Rajnath Singh. See, in every democracy, in every administration, in every bureaucracy, the head should roll. Somebody has to take the responsibility. I'm not saying Amit Shah should resign. But what about Manoj Sinha? What about the chief who was looking after the security in that particular area? Somebody has to be made accountable, so that the successor who comes to the post learns a lesson. He knows that if he misses an opportunity, then certainly his heads are going to roll. But unfortunately, in this government, there is no question of accountability. Absolutely no question of accountability, and they don't believe into being accountable to the parliament. That's a reality. And the kind of arrogance which is shown by the government, I had never seen that kind of arrogance ever, neither in the Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government nor any other government. It is this arrogance, it is trying to brazen out. They want to brazen out everything. Look at the Prime Minister is saying that 135, Rahul Gandhi has asked a question. Why Rajnath Singh was informing, the DGM was informing to the Pakistan at 135 in the morning. He's brazening it out, despite You reason it out. But unfortunately, not reasoning it out. They're brazen out. That's the sad part of it. And forget it. This government doesn't believe into being accountable. National Security Advisor is saying कि एक तो शीशा भी नहीं टूटा हमारे यहाँ. Your 5 army leaders have said openly, if the government has been listening to them, government should be thinking they committed a blunder, and army top leaders of the army are unhappy with it. Deputy Rahul Singh, Group Captain Shiv Kumar, and others. There's a whole lot of people. Air Marshal AP Singh long back has said,
you're talking about the jets you're talking about their claims about jets down, but accountability, Raj Chengappa.
Rajiv,
there's a belief that right through this debate, or right through the last 3 months, in all the rousing rhetoric, what about accountability? Is that a question that must be asked or not? Particularly of the LG of Jammu and Kashmir, for example, Manoj Sinha.
Certainly, Rajdeep, there is no doubt there was an intelligence and security failure that happened, because you cannot have tourists gunned down in the manner that that happened, and we sadly saw in Pahalgam. And especially after the government had, in fact, I think Priyanka Vadra Gandhi had pointed out that fact that they had claimed that they had brought peace to Kashmir and things were safe enough for them, and the fact that there was very little security in an area that was pretty obvious could have been a terror target, especially with Pakistan wanting to hit back for whatever reasons, whether it's Balochistan or an ambitious general coming in and wanting to make a mark. So that is something we need to look at. And if you look at the conduct of the war also, which you mentioned, the tactics that we use, we did see the Chief of Defense Staff talk about it, saying that there were tactical issues that India learned quickly and then was able to hit right back. The fact that we have a cyber war, which was a very secret cyber war, which didn't really come out much in the press, but there were over 2 million sort of attacks against our banks and critical infrastructure establishments apart from defense. And we were able to contain most of them, but I think 150 or so came through, which is quite a high number. If you talk to security experts, that's also a matter of concern, that they were able to penetrate our defenses in many senses. Though we knocked down a lot of the drones, there were concerns about that as well that we need to look at. So there are 2 ways of doing this. You had the Kargil Commission that went into some of the issues. Is it early enough for a commission, or should we wait, because we are still saying that Sindhu is on pause, not fully there, which will go into some of these, or you do it within the government to go into some of these critical areas. There have been issues that we need to look at and get into, whether it is the security and intelligence apparatus, whether it is the counter-cyber measures that we took, whether it is the kind of political action that we've taken in terms of the Indus water abeyance and the treaty abeyance, whether the psychological aspects of the war, the way we handled our communications, the armed forces handled their communications, the government handled the communications during Sindhu, the narrative that Pakistan seemed to have got in the beginning, that initiative that they had. All these are questions that we need to look at as we review what really happened.
The fact is, even after Pulwama, we still don't know whether accountability was fixed. So there is that question of accountability, but at the same time, as Ashok Malik pointed out, the government can also take credit for certain aspects that may have changed on the ground in Jammu and Kashmir. Which brings me the question, since you mentioned information, who won the war of narratives? Listen in to what Prime Minister Modi and the leader of the opposition, Rahul Gandhi, said.
पाकिस्तान में समझदारी होती तो आतंकियों के साथ खुलेआम खड़े रहने की गलती न करता। उसने निर्लज्ज होकर के आतंकवादियों के साथ खड़े रहने का फैसला किया। हम पूरी तरह तैयार थे, हम भी मौके की तलाश में थे, लेकिन हमने दुनिया को बताया था कि हमारा लक्ष्य आतंकवाद है, आतंकवादी आका है, आतंकवादी ठिकाने हैं। वो हमने पूरा कर दिया। लेकिन जब पाकिस्तान ने आतंकियों की मदद में आने का फैसला किया और मैदान में उतरने की हरकत की, तो भारत की सेना ने सालों तक याद रह जाए ऐसा करारा जवाब दे करके 9 मई की मध्य रात्रि और 10 मई की एक प्रकार से सुबह हमारी मिसाइलें उन्होंने पाकिस्तान के हर कोने में प्रचंड प्रहार किया, जिसकी पाकिस्तान ने कभी कल्पना नहीं की थी, और पाकिस्तान को घुटनों पर आने के लिए मजबूर कर दिया।
राजनाथ सिंह जी का भाषण मैं सुन रहा था, एंड आई लिसन क्वाइट केयरफुली when people speak. And Rajnath Singh ji said that Operation Sindhu began at 1:05 in the morning. और उसके बाद उन्होंने कहा, he said, Operation Sindhu lasted 22 minutes. And then he said, the most shocking thing. He said at 1:35, we called Pakistan. We called Pakistan at 1:35 and we told them that we have hit non-military targets and we do not want escalation. These are the words of the Defense Minister of India. दो लोगों के बीच में लड़ाई हो रही है, एक आदमी जाके दूसरे को घूंसा मारता है और फिर कहता है देखिए मैंने घूंसा मार दिया, अब एस्केलेशन नहीं कीजिए.
Who won the war of narratives then? Because this debate was often about narratives. Ashok Malik, who do you think won the war of narratives? Modi's muscularism or the Congress's attack on what they perceive as the government's failures? You're on mute. Sorry.
My apologies. Rajdeep, in a debate of this nature in Parliament, there are good moments and there are embarrassing moments for both sides. Okay, let's make that very clear. Okay, there's no one speech which is completely great or no one speech which is completely bad. Having said that, the Narendra Modi government's record and credibility on national security, despite tactical errors which might have taken place during Operation Sindhu, is there for all to see. It is fairly strong. It remains fairly strong. I would say it remains the strongest part of the Modi appeal to this day. So I would say on national security, on the success of Operation Sindhu, which again, despite some shortcomings, despite our strategic communications being a little less than desired, and despite losing a couple of planes or some planes, I don't know how many, despite all of that, our ability to strike terror camps in Pakistan, including in the heartland of Punjab and across the country, and our ability to strike something like 11 air bases of Pakistan across the country, has left a mark. And clearly, that speaks for the success of Operation Sindhu, despite some shortcomings. So I would say on Operation Sindhu, the Modi government has gained more than it has lost.
Okay. Ashutosh, quick answer. Has Prime Minister Modi and in this debate rewritten strategic doctrine, called off Pakistan's nuclear bluff, or as the opposition is claiming, shown a weakness which is being camouflaged by rhetoric?
See, Rajdeep, this is the third in a row that the government has lost the narrative. If you start from 2024 onwards, they lost the narrative on the issue of constitution, safe constitution. They lost the narrative on the caste census, and they lost the narrative today. So I'm not saying whether the Congress has won the narrative. That's a different story altogether. The fact of the matter is, on the day when the government, when the ceasefire was announced, if you had read and followed the social media platforms of the RSS guys, they were so unhappy. So unhappy. You know, this is the tragedy. When you try to build an image of a macho, masculine Hindutva, and then you suddenly decide to have a ceasefire with the Pakistan. And I never found a government more confused vis-a-vis Pakistan than the Modi government. You are saying कि हमने पाकिस्तान को सबक सिखा दिया. और फिर आप पाकिस्तान को फोन
They've gone into the heart. The Prime Minister keeps saying, we went where no other Indian leader has gone. We went into the
Rajdeep,
heart of
10
Pakistan, Bahawalpur,
Rajdeep,
Burik.
10 seconds. Rajdeep, 10 seconds. You are saying that Pakistan is the mother of terrorism. Then why are you informing to the Pakistan military that I'm not attacking you, I'm attacking the terrorists? You are clearly making a distinction.
Because I have a limited objective of only targeting the terror infrastructure.
That's a confusion altogether. Then don't tell to the whole country that you taught a lesson to the Pakistans. Because Pakistan is the mother of terrorism in this country. And you are trying to tell Pakistan, I'm not attacking you, I'm attacking terrorists. So either you are confused or you want to hold the country to get confused.
Okay. Raj Chengappa, Modi's muscularism, has it been exposed after Operation Sindhu or during it? Or has it been his stature as this muscular strongman leader been enhanced? Or has Rahul Gandhi punctured it a bit?
I divide it into two. There's domestic and international. Domestic, the rhetoric and whatever happened in Parliament, certainly he came across as a tough and strong leader and someone who showed restraint, because this argument that you should have continued the war, we all knew that if two nuclear powers go head-on, the outcome can be disastrous, particularly if they start going into the missile level, which it was heading towards. So you had a limited objective, you achieved it, and pulled back on it. And of course, Rahul Gandhi tried to be clever by saying, well, you should have, why did you warn them? We warned, obviously we warned them that, look, we're only going to strike your terror things. We didn't want an all-out war. Neither side wanted it for that matter. Now, if you come, therefore, I think he comes, and his actions always speak louder than their words. He does go ahead and, he means what he says and says what he means. Let's put it that way. But if you look at the other side of it, and there the words seem to shout louder than whatever actions, was that the fact that Donald Trump has reiterated this 25 times, the fact that he met, as you mentioned earlier, General Munir and had lunch with him, and the fact that overall, we seem to suddenly getting back hyphenated with Pakistan is not a good sign in terms of the way we are conducting, say, international, our image that is there. And that's something that the government needs to think of, because we don't want to go back to that old situation where we're being equated with Pakistan. We need to deal with Pakistan with the way we want it to be. We are a major power that needs to do other things as well.
Okay, I just have a minute or so, but I want to leave you with an intriguing question. Maybe we'll need a fuller debate on this. Modi's muscularism versus Nehruvian diplomacy. And the only reason I'm asking this is because Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2025 mentioned Jawaharlal Nehru, who passed away in 1964, 14 times, 14 times in his speech. Clearly, in that says Ashok Malik, somewhere the Prime Minister is still obsessed with Jawaharlal Nehru.
Well, I think Nehru gets mentioned a little too often by both sides, both the Congress and the BJP in our political debates. Yes, there were some foundational mistakes, especially with Kashmir and China in Nehru's time. There were also achievements in his time. Nehru tried diplomacy. Nehru could also be muscular, as he was with Goa. Modi is muscular, as he showed us with Sindhu. Modi has also been an astute diplomat on many occasions. So politics and governance are more complex.
I've just got a minute. Yes, quick, 30 seconds.
In this matter, I've researched, say, India's nuclear bomb and looked at what every prime minister has done. And I'm very happy to say I'm very proud by each of their actions. I don't think you need to be a leader who cuts another leader down to appear taller. I think it's very important that every leader at a particular point took a decision based on what he thought was the best interest, could have made mistakes, but that was, when you do a job, it's a tough job. And therefore, I would rather say, let's be positive, let's not cut others. There were a lot of good reasons why they could have done or not done some things. Let's move ahead on this debate.
Let me leave it there. Ashutosh, you want final 10 seconds? Modi versus Nehru, you can make it a book in the future. You're on mute.
Rajdeep, I call it Nixon's Kennedy complex.
Okay, Nixon's Kennedy complex, we leave it, whether it is Prime Minister Modi's Nehru complex, but just think about it, as I said, 2025, the Prime Minister of India is mentioning Jawaharlal Nehru 14 times. That's all that I have for you on the show today. Thanks very much for watching. The Parliament debate, of course, will continue tomorrow in the Rajya Sabha, as will stories from across the country. That was the news, hopefully without the noise. Thanks for joining me. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubh Ratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.